Hi, I'm Jeremy Watson, CEO of Bedrock Investment Property. One of the questions you're probably asking is why Bedrock? Why not invest in a syndication? I hear they're great. Why not invest in a real estate investment trust? My broker says they're fabulous. Why not invest in a tenant in common? Hey, I hear Bedrock really specializes in single family residential. Why not specialize in commercial or fourplexes or duplexes? Truth is, there's a lot of reasons to work with Bedrock. There may be some reasons to work with other people. I want to give you 3 reasons why I think Bedrock might be the right choice for you. You make the decision. Number 1, control. Any time that you invest with a company, real estate investment trust, syndication, tenant in common, those 3 really spring to mind. You're effectively giving someone your money, and you're trusting that that person knows what they're doing. Unfortunately, that's not always the case. Every company starts somewhere. Every company makes mistakes. And the truth is, some of those mistakes are going to be on your money if you work with a company that doesn't know what they're doing. That's just the bottom line. So, you really want to make sure, number 1, that you have control over your asset. I love that. If you're buying single family residential with Bedrock, you own the property 100%. You control the timetables for the property 100%. You control whether they rehab the property or don't. You control whether they give the property manager a raise or not. You control whether you keep the property manager or fire them. The truth is, I like that aspect of control that people get with single family residential. Because in a syndication, for example, you could be one small fish out of a $3 million capital raise. That capital raise could have been meant to rehab a 550 unit complex. They could have found black mold, and all of a sudden you're looking at a 550 unit complex black mold remediation. All of a sudden they don't have enough money for that, so they've got to do a capital call, and you've got to go throw more money into it. Or they hired a completely incompetent person to do the rehab in the first place, and it's just going all the garbage. And keep in mind, that $3 million capital raise was only enough to put down the 20% down up front. So if they don't get this thing rented pretty soon, they're going to run out of money, they're going to blow through all their liquidity prospects, and they're going to lose this property in foreclosure. That's the reason a syndication is a Reg D security. It's because unless you have $1 million in assets outside of your primary residence, you need to be able to lose those assets 100% to invest in a syndication. That's not the case with a single family residential piece of real estate. Single family residential is pretty straightforward. Almost anyone can understand it, and you control it 100%. You own it 100% when you work with Bedrock, you control it 100%. Timetable, who works for you, who works with you, we love them. Number 2, simplicity. I love the fact that single family residential is not rocket science. All right, it's not even all that complicated. There's about 5 moving parts. There's like 5 expenses and 1 income source. It's a pretty straightforward asset. So you can understand that asset well enough to buy it as an educated investor. On a real estate investment trust, you're spending all your money, you're giving them all your money, and you're getting fractional shares in either a public or a privately traded REIT. You may have absolutely no idea what you really own at the end of the day, what type of assets they're buying, what type of assets they're selling, whether they're buying mini malls with gigantic anchor tenants that are leaving and other tenants who are suing them. You may have absolutely no idea what's in that REIT. With single family residential real estate, you know what you've got. You've got a house, 3 bedroom, 2 bath, 4 bedroom, 2 bath with a renter. They've probably got pretty good credit if they qualified with our people, right? So it's very straightforward. It's a simple asset that you can understand and not lose everything you've ever owned by this complex mess that does happen. Number 3, experience. Bedrock Investment Property and our team has helped people buy over 4,000 properties in the last 10 years. I would be speaking very honestly if I said that my chief operations officer probably has more direct experience in dealing with the actual paperwork of a single family residential that's being bought for investment purposes. He probably has more experience in looking over that paperwork and making sure it's right and answering your questions on it than any other human being on the planet. Because we've just done it a lot. We're by far the biggest fish in this sea that actually deal with those properties after they're rented. And that's the experience that you really want. There's a lot of companies out there that will help you buy a piece of property, but none of them are going to be there to deal with it when it has problems. We deal with the properties when they have problems all the time. That's our whole business model, is helping make sure that it's as passive as possible. It's never going to be completely passive because you own it. You have to give us the final say-so on everything. But we can give you absolute control of the asset. We can keep the asset simple, very understandable. We can mitigate as many risks as is possible. And you can work with a team that's been doing this for a decade, that's done it well, that's learned a lot along the way, and that bring way more value than we charge. All right, thank you so much for joining me today. It's been my pleasure. Have a good day.